So Hatha Yoga is the original yoga. So it goes back to to the ancient times where it was basically meaning sun and moon. Hatha means sun and moon, and it blends both the right and left side of the body together with a breath-based practice so that you can become internally strong, so that you can gain flexibility, inner strength, structural. It's a structural practice, but the ultimate goal with the breathing that's introduced to, because every pose, you breathe with every pose. So it syncs the breath with the movement. That's why the breathing is the most important part of the practice, because if you don't know how to breathe, and you're missing the benefits of yoga just solely. So because it's so demanding of all of you in that present moment, what it does is it gets you out of the nature of your conscious mind, so that when you are ready to do Shavasana, which is really a very active pose where you're lying still or you're doing meditation at the end, your mind is completely still. And that is the goal of Hatha Yoga, is to still the nature of the conscious mind. Everything else came and spun from Hatha Yoga. So Ashtanga has got Hatha base to it, but Patabi Joyce brought that over into Mysore, and that is a very disciplined practice where they are doing series, and they do a period of time where they just practice the series over and over again. And then once they've mastered that series, they move on to a more difficult sequencing and series and so on. It's a very rigid, very physically demanding practice. Then you've got Anusara, which is also very based in Hatha, but they're more about flowing through the poses and coming from your heart, which was developed by John Friend. So he took Hatha Yoga and incorporated something to him and then called it Anusara. Then you've got Iyengar, which was, by Mr. Iyengar, and they use props. Now they also take some of the Hatha practices, but then they're adapting to different bodies, and you're holding postures a lot longer. And with the use of props, their philosophy is that if you force the tissue a little bit and hold it for a period of time, that the body will sort of open itself up. Then what else do we have? We have, we've got Vinyasa Yoga. That's like the West version of yoga.
That's what we do.
Yeah, because it's fast moving. And here's the funny thing, just being honest. I've done Vinyasa, I've taught Vinyasa. Working in the medical field with Vinyasa practitioners, what I would see was a lot of repetitive stress injuries, because you don't have enough time to be in the poses properly because it's moving too fast. And it is more of a workout, and you get into some sort of a meditative state, but it's not the same. It makes you feel really good, but it doesn't have that meditative aspect to it like traditional Hatha. So it's very popular here because people think, if I'm sweating, then I'm working out, and yoga's not working out. That's the other thing. So you've got Vinyasa. Then you've got Vini Yoga, which is more of like what Desikachar, was teaching. And actually, he was one of my mentors in yoga therapy, where you are taking parts of Hatha Yoga and you are moving and adapting to the individual needs. And that's what a lot of yoga therapy is about, is taking Hatha and then modifying it for a therapeutic purpose. So a lot of my lineage is deep into Krishnamacharya and Desikachar. So what else do we have? Then we have famous Bikram, where you're doing the same poses in a heated room. I have my feelings on that. I'm not judging it. Some people love it, but I always look at things from the healthy standpoint of the body. There's an illusion with hot yoga and Bikram where you're moving into poses because your body's warm, that isn't anatomically ready to be in that pose. And again, a lot of people get injured because I've, gone and taken those kind of classes, knowing full well that they're not the best for me with my, current back situation. And I've ended up, because I felt warm, gone into stuff that I knew I had no business doing. And then it would tweak me later on. So that's the hot yoga and the Bikram. And the Bikram is a series of the same postures all the time. There's no real chanting in most of those other disciplines. With Hatha Yoga, you have chanting. You do very specific pranayama, which is the breathing. You do meditation. Now, some of the other disciplines will do that. Like my husband is a master Shivananda teacher and taught in India and did advanced teacher trainings. Shivananda also was adapt from Hatha. And they have in the beginning 12 poses that you do all the time. Classes always started with 2 types of pranayama. Then you do a series of poses, which is to strengthen the back and gain flexibility in the spine. That's Shivananda's, premise. And then you always have chanting and prayer at the end. That's it's very structured that way. And it's actually a really beautiful practice. I enjoy doing it also. But again, the roots always go back to Hatha Yoga.